Hey everybody, happy hump day, happy Wednesday. Notice how sometimes I look at weird spots because right now I'm using the iPad to record, and the iPad's actually nicer because the camera's right in the middle, just above eye level. With the phones, it's off on the side. Depending on if I use the phone and I have the screen facing at me, the camera's off on the side. If I have it where I'm looking at the lenses on the back of the camera, then I know to look at the lenses, but then I don't know what's going on. So believe it or not, I actually like to see kind of what I look like when I'm making these videos, so I don't look too much like an idiot. Anyhow, enough of that. Got a lot of things I want to talk about today. I'm not going to get wistful about a tree, so hopefully these things move quickly. So first thing, I got a bunch of things on my list. First thing, I'm going to apologize. I did some voiceover while I was doing some of the warm-up sets, which I push all the way to the end. Even though those are the first things I did today, they're going to be at the end of the tape when I finally assemble this together. But I want to apologize. These mics were like shoved up into my jowls, and it blows out in some cases, so apologize for the bad audio quality there. I don't have the time nor the editing skills to edit that out and leave the other stuff. All right. Second thing I got a note on, I got like 10 and a half hours of sleep last night, which is great. I feel fantastic. Other than when I have that much sleep, my back is absolutely pissed off. So I had to take in, like, first thing this morning, I'm like doing stretches in the bathroom and stuff like that. Then I got out and I got a bunch of steps this morning, warming my back up. Got about 6,000 plus steps in today so far. So that's good. Let's see. Yeah, I've got a note here. When if you're watching the video, you'll see it, the second set where I do 185 for 5 on a bench press. The light comes on in the gym, the door opens. Note, I'm drinking hot coffee, and it's a 90-degree day. I've become a New Englander. Anyhow. So after that second set, light comes on, and someone throws the door open and asks me a question. So one of the interesting things about having a home gym is people need you for other stuff, and they don't know what you're doing out in the garage. A lot of time when we're out here working out, especially when we're doing barbell training, a lot of time is downtime. I mean, a set lasts 10 to 30 seconds. Like a 30-second set of actual lifting is pretty long. A minute is excruciating. So a lot of the time that we're out here is actually just downtime. So a lot of times people pop out and ask a question. I'm just sitting here recuperating, fiddling with the stereo, something that's not working out. So anyhow, someone came out and asked me a question. The timing was just such that I just racked the bar, so it didn't throw me off. But I've had it happen where I've been in the middle of the lift and been asked a question, and it does throw me off. So I also temper my gym lifting, my home gym lifting, with the idea that anyone could bother me at any time. And I'll get back to kind of how that fits into this other term later on, or this next term actually, which is I have employed a near zero grind mentality. You're going to see that on today's video. I got through my block of 5x5 at 185. I took some more time between sets towards the end, and I got a lot of bar speed back. The last 2 sets of 185 were moving very quickly. So I threw 225 on the bar. First rep of 225 was pretty clean. The second rep felt like I was going to have to grind to get through a sticking point. So you know what I did? I let the bar down. I don't have any care to grind and push things anymore. I just don't need to. I do not need to have maximal skill display. I just need to put on or maintain the muscle mass that I have, get the other stimulus benefits of working out, you know, raising my blood pressure in a transient state, right? That's a good thing. That stresses that system appropriately. There's some cardio benefits. The overall, you know, strengthening the bones, the ligaments, the musculature, all that stuff is also great too. So those are the benefits I look for. So I'm not going to grind because I just don't care if I'm able to put up a ton of weight, or I'm not going to get those extra reps. Everything's going to be RPE 9 at most. And that I probably could have gotten the second rep at 225. I just didn't care. That's what I have safeties for. The last thing I got here on the note, I'm getting through this pretty quick. I'm surprising myself, even though this is 5 minutes, but like I said, there's a lot of points to get through. These mics that I always have on that look kind of goofy, but they work well. Reason why I use them, right, is, and I might have mentioned it in a prior video, is that I'm trying to isolate my voice from the ambient noise in the background, which part of that, I've got a fan here. I should do a video on my fan. I think a fan is very important. But anyhow, I've got the fan going, I've got stereo going, I've got a bunch of stuff going, other noise that goes on. Sometimes people do come out and ask a question. Their voice doesn't get on video that way too. So there's some privacy that's concerned there as well. Anyhow, I got these mics. You don't hear everything that goes on in the background. Sometimes you can hear it faintly. So yeah, one of the things, the last thing I did today, right, my accessories, the last set, I've got that on video as well. That's going to precede the warm-up stuff. But I've got the music kind of turned up. I'm dancing. I'm having a good time. So that's one of the points that I want to make here, right? One of the great things about having a home gym, I've got full control over the stereo. I can listen to whatever tunes I want, whatever volume I want. I can dance around. I can act the fool. I can just have a good time. And that's really what we need to, that's what we need to keep in mind. We're out here. We should not be, and that's part of the reason why I don't have the zero grind mentality. I don't want to grind. I'm out here to enjoy the time that I have. I'm past the hump, as it were, in terms of lifespan. I'm on the other side of that hill. Not to say I'm dying, but I know that, the amount of days I have left are far less than the amount of days that I've lived so far. So if I'm going to be out here in this gym doing stuff, I want to have a good time. I don't want to be miserable. I want to benefit mentally from the time, emotionally from the time. So I'm going to be out here. I'm going to be listening to music. I'm going to dance around. I'm going to have a fun time. And I would encourage all of you folks to do the same. When you're at the gym, have a good time. Do not beat yourself up. Don't grind through reps if you don't have to, especially if that stuff weighs on you mentally. That's not good. It's bad juju. Unless you're absolutely specifically training for some sort of a competition, and okay, I've got to push myself. I've got to get my peak display of strength up. I've got to get that one rep max up. You need to have some goals, and so that's important if you're doing a competition. But otherwise, if you're just in the gym, again, those general health benefits, always temper those things. The idea you're there to enjoy yourself. You're there to add some benefit to the other aspects of your life. And while you're there, you should be having fun too. You should not be miserable, because if you're having fun, like I try to have, then it's going to keep you out there in the gym, and it's going to make the time that you're out in the gym enjoyable. Today, because I have the day off again, I've been out here for way too long, like 2 hours. So it's like one of those things where, and I'll end it into rambling with this, right? So again, I'm over 50, and I work with a lot of people who are also over 50. A lot of people are younger than 50, but retirement becomes a topic, over and over, especially here with some of the recent events in fiscal year 25. But no, one of the things that people talk about when they retire, they need to have hobbies. It's absolutely true, because you're going to have a massive, you got 40 hours of work that you've got to fill that you don't have to do anything, plus the commute time and all the other stuff. So, roughly most people are looking at 50 or 60 hours of time awake that they did not have before. And that's a tremendous proportion of the time that they're going to gain back. So you need to have something to fill that time. I got lots of stuff. I got lifting. I got other hobbies. I do Gundam models. I've got RC cars that you might have seen on some of these videos when I move around and stuff. I've got a lot of things to fill my time. But in the case of the gym, when I start taking my time, I can take hours out here if I want. Just putzing around, fiddling with things, cleaning stuff up, which is also on today's video. But yeah, point being, the gym is a great place to unwind, to be kind of zen about things, clear your mind, be present, enjoy the process, and just enjoy life in general. Like I said, listen to fun music, whatever the music is you want to listen to. Dance around, just have a good time. You're being physically active, your body starts to move. Like, I'm doing bench press and stuff. And even when my legs are a little bit sore from Monday and Tuesday's workouts, man, I still just want, I want to move around some. I want to have some fun. So why not? Right? We should not be, life is suffering. Sure, but we should be mitigating that. The point of, I think, that phrase is we should be doing everything we can to expand ourselves and to maximize the joy that we can, because if not, it is going to be miserable, and we should not be miserable, especially when out here in the gym. All right, I'm going to shut up now. Videos of me lifting is coming, my mediocre lifts, and I hope everyone has a great Wednesday, and I hope everyone hits those goals in the gym. All right, peace. Okay, got a bit of a stretch goal here today. We'll see how it goes. I just did a set at 155. I felt pretty good. So I'm going to push it a little bit. We'll see if that was a smart idea or not. Again, you always adjust and temper in situ. You're going to see me do something what looks to be silly on the setup. It's going to be me rolling way up. It really does seem to help my lower back. It is stiff. There's going to be some words in the preamble that you'll hear before this, me talking about basically I slept too long last night. Nice to get a lot of sleep in, but whatever I do, I wake up stiff as a board. All right, let's get this started. Not too bad. All right, let's see how many we do. All right, set 2. Let's knock it out. All right, set 3, 185 by 5. Try to keep these nice and quick. See, you can do this, different speeds, different setups, but again, me rolling around. Oh, this helps my back feel a little better. All right. Now I'm just really tucking my shoulders down. Let's talk you through this here setup. Why not? One thing you don't see me doing is lining my thumbs up with the inner edge of the knurl. It's not that easy to see, obviously, on tape. But, all right. Grip is set up. Right shoulder doesn't want to get down the way I want it to. All right. Tank is running a little empty right now. All right, this is set 4. Give myself a little bit more of a break here. Trying to fill the tank back up, as it were. Trying to get some bar speed back so I can get a nice 5x5 out at 185 today. Amazing how that works. All right, last set of these. Plan to do some back offs afterwards. If these go well, I'm going to try and make these nice and quick, even on the sit-up. All right, 5x5 is done. All done. All right, we're gonna knock out this last set. Getting pumped. So last night was one of those nights where I got well over 8 hours of sleep, about 10 hours of sleep. Pretty rare occurrence. I'm harking on that because every time I get more than 7 to 8 hours of sleep, my back is stiff when I get up. I mean, like painfully stiff. So that necessitated me standing around the back room for a while, doing random stretching exercises. And now I'm really taking care to work these shoulders. So one of the things I'm doing when I do is little toe tappies, and I've probably mentioned on another video, right? Just a little bit of it's like a combination of two good things. One, a little bit of lower ab work, not a lot, but enough. And then the idea that when I've got those feet off the ground, right now I've got excess load on the shoulder joints once they've warmed up some, so it gives them an extra stretch. So it's like a 2-for-1 combo, so to speak. I'm in one position, I'm getting two, I'm accomplishing two things. So getting some extra resistance on the stretch that I'm performing, and a little bit of lower ab work with those knee raises. Yeah, not a lot, but some. And it goes back to that philosophy that Bill Phillips had in his books, which is you can be doing abs with almost every exercise you do. And I think that's an important thing to note. And mainly because the core is the core, right? It's got that name for a reason. It's in the center of your body. It's doing a lot of work all the time. It's supporting, maintaining your spine in some good, healthy, normal, neutral position. And we want to get that as strong as possible as we make everything else stronger. So while we're doing all these random motions with various implements, why not go ahead and provide some additional stress to the abdominal area as well by just contracting it or giving it some sort of resisted range of motion so that it can benefit from training as well. All that to say that, yeah, Bill Phillips had a really good idea in a couple sentences, and he wrote in a book 30 some odd years ago, which was when you're sitting there doing whatever stuff, curls, calf raises, whatever, and there's not a lot of abdominal load in the motion, you might as well go ahead and put some in, because why not? You got time. Time is money, so to speak. So might as well use it while you're in the gym and contract your abs and get those things to work as well. All right, so I'm going to do another round of this. We'll see how much of this he makes it to through the cutting room floor, so to speak. All right. So first round, I always have to do 2 rounds of the stretching. Mainly because these two ones is really grumpy. Today, it was small. So you see kind of pushing my hip a little bit extra to get my traps to loosen up. Yeah, pushes now. All right. So do these door frame stretches are really great. My variation on them is putting my opposite arm in the small of my back. A lot of people leave their other arm out loose and free. That's fine. You can still get a stretch, obviously, through this area here, right? But as soon as you tuck this arm behind the back, now it's going to force the opposite shoulder to stretch. And it's also going to fight for a little bit more spinal neutrality, as it were. So you're not going to be as tempted to kind of rotate into that shoulder you're trying to stretch. So yeah, again, it's another trick I've learned along the way. And it is very painful trying to get that opposite hand in the small back. Right now, you probably can't see it all that well on tape, but I've got the hand kind of passed. So one, due to losing weight, that's been helpful. And two, just practicing this motion has helped me get this extra range of motion in this somewhat compromised shoulder position, but that's a good thing. So let me switch. This side is worse than the other side. But again, get that first thing is to get the hand get that opposite hand locked into its position, because getting it in position once you've started the stretch, way harder, at least for me. So I get that in position and then get into that door frame stretch. And all right, so see, I'm feeling it both sides. The side where I expect on the left, in this case, the hand that's up, getting a lot of stretch again across the anterior shoulder, and then also you can feel it in the bicep tendon, the proximal insertion area. On the opposite, it's different. So I'm feeling a stretch anterior on the anterior shoulder, but now that the bicep isn't extended, right? But the tricep has got some weird deal, right? So I've got this like in the back posterior portion of the shoulder, I'm getting a little bit of an extra stretch there as well. So I don't know if there's an insertion there from the triceps or something coming off of the trapezius. I don't know. I don't know enough anatomy to know exactly what's going on there, but I do feel, again, a stretch on both the front of the shoulder on this right arm, and I also feel something on the back as well. All right. So yeah, those are really good. I love those door frame stretches. And then I know I've talked about this on other videos, but I'll talk about it again because I got time to kill. Yeah, doing these, typically these are also done with a door frame or like power rack or something. When I've been in PT, they've got the one PT, and this is a good sign for a good PT too. If your physical therapist has a power rack at his place of business, it's probably somebody who's going to be able to accommodate your needs better than the average PT that's just a place filled with bands and balls. So while I'm on this tangent, yeah, when you're out there trying to get a therapist, a physical therapist, you should be shopping, and that's one that's one of the metrics to look for. Does the therapist use implements that I would use when I exercise? I know it sounds completely stupid, trivial, obvious, whatever, but it's absolutely a criterion to consider. Does that therapist, he or she, have things like a power rack? Does he or she have things like dumbbells, other free weights, maybe even some, and some, in the one case of the PTIC, he's got even some machines that I would expect to see in a bodybuilding type of gym. Not a lot, only a couple, but, like things like, these modular like row machines, stuff like that. So point being, the PT has implements that can train some range of motion that you're used to training, that is probably, hopefully, beneficial to your injury recovery, so that you've got something to transition from, I've been doing PT, now I need to go home and continue getting stronger, building range of motion. Having the implements at the PT's office to help you do that, very, very important. All right, so I'm finishing this up. And the one thing I was going to mention about this, right, when I do these door frame stretches, or these stretches where, the shoulders and rear extension, the reason why I really like the bands, and I'm doing it now, is that I can rotate that hand from prone to supine, and that really allows an extra stretch along, especially when the palm is out like this. It really allows a ton of extra stretch across the entire biceps. And so one of the problems I was having with my shoulders is that the actual biceps themselves were getting tighter and shortening up, and also assisting in rolling those shoulders forward. So part of opening up the anterior portion of the shoulder has been strengthening the biceps and getting to relax in a very much an elongated position. All right, enough of that. All right, while I'm doing this, I'll talk over this too. One of the things that everyone should have, if they've got a garage gym, is a way to clean it out and do it so quickly. And the way that I do that is obvious with this leaf blower here. I just happen to use these Ryobi tools because I don't want to have 3 different charging situations. So just bought into one brand, and it's good enough. Anyhow, now it's a little bit cleaner here. That's an important thing to do too. It's not just being clean for the sake of cleanliness. It's being clean so that for the sake of safety and security while you're out here in your gym lifting. All right. So now I'm going to run through this circuit, see how it feels one time. If things feel pretty good on the one run through, I'll probably cut it there. So notice I push out to extension, then I go out for those flies. If you try and start from an open position in your flies, your shoulders are going to be very, very pissed off. So I always start close to the body, press them out, because that's your strongest motion coming out of that spot, and then go into the fly motion. So a few more of these. And go to overhead. All right, key here for me is not let my shoulders click. No, it's the worst advice ever because it's very individual, but it basically is slightly increasing the ROM each rep, but before my shoulders like, nope, you're being stupid. Oh, let's do 2 more. I'm not keeping count very well because I'm talking at the same time. I'm not smart enough to do both. All right, so now we're going to the press. This is the easiest of those. It has the most muscle mass behind it, so hence it should be the easiest. And because I've just done those other two, you know, the anterior musculature, the pec, is already pretty warmed up. All right, so now I'm going to switch over these overhead extensions. This is kind of like an LT or some other overhead tricep extension. Just using these bands. Again, the idea here is not really the extension. It's when I go back, hopefully it's on tape, I'm increasing the range of motion rearward a little bit more every time. So I kind of trick myself using these resistance bands that, yeah, I'm getting this extension, but at the same time, I'm actually trying to increase the range of motion at the other extreme of the lift. And so this has been one of the techniques that I've been using for quite some time now. That's really gotten me a good bit of my ROM back to my shoulders. And when I say a good bit, I mean at one point back, let's say roughly a year ago, I was struggling to like just do regular range of motion. Like, oh, I need to turn the radio down in my car. Oh my God, my shoulder hurts. So that's obviously a bad thing. So doing this work has got me back a lot of that capability. I can't really endorse a good stretching routine more than 10 out of 10 kind of situation. It's just absolutely necessary to have a good routine as you gain training history, in my experience, so that you can keep those joints healthy. All right. And I know that out there in the interwebs, on social media, you've got some older guys that they don't stretch, and you're like, oh, this old guy doesn't stretch. I'm like, okay, that's fine. That's atypical, 1 or 2. There are many cases where there's just older lifters that came onto the scene late. And if that's the case, it's a little bit tough to weigh their experience. Again, notice I said earlier, training history. If you got someone who's been training 10 years and who's 60 years old, they still only have 10 years of training history. If you got somebody who's 50, has been training for 30 years, well, they've got 30 years of training history. So those two people are going to have a different set of requirements, I should say, in terms of what they need to achieve, how they're going to achieve it, and how much stretching is going to be involved, maybe to hit those goals. Typically, if a person's been training 30 years, vice someone who's been training 10 years, and everything else is equal, they're going to have roughly 3 times the damage accumulated over time from lifting. So they're going to have to take a little bit more time, a little bit more care, a little bit more effort, a little bit more thought put into what they do when they go through a regimen before they start a gym session. So that's why you see me here talking, yammering on about all the things I need to do in order to get ready to lift. And with that being said, that one round is enough. I'm going to set up the bench and I'm going to start in the bench press.